Order. Order. I've called Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, what international reports has he received on the economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, in recent weeks I've been able to speak to all three credit rating agencies. At present, New Zealand's long-term debt is rated AAA by Moody's and AA plus by Standards & Poor's and AA plus with negative watch by Fitch. I'm pleased to be able to tell the House that these high credit ratings appear secure. All three ratings agencies note that the government has a sound medium-term plan. They're also encouraged by the recent lift in national savings and the reduction in New Zealand's actual and forecast balance of payments position.
Amy Adams.
Supplementary question. How is the world economy performing this year?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the performance of the world economy matters because New Zealand, as a small open economy, is like a cork bobbing on the ocean. While the world economy has been recovering over the past year, growth slowed in most Western countries during the middle part of this year. This combination of relatively weak growth is placing severe pressure on government budgets. The average deficit is expected to be around 9% in developed economies. New Zealand's is around 6% of GDP, and debt levels are rising rapidly. Fortunately, the markets into which we sell our products, increasingly in the Asia-Pacific area, are growing strongly.
Amy Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister, what feedback has the Minister received on New Zealand's economic performance?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, by comparison with any number of countries who are experiencing considerable difficulties, the feedback was generally favourable. We have found that those who lend money to us in the credit rating agencies are particularly impressed with the tax switch, which has allowed us to change the incentives in the economy by reducing income taxes and the company tax rate so that we can encourage savings, investment and new jobs. This is generally opposite to the general trend where a number of countries are looking to lift personal tax rates.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, in light of these reports, who is correct? The Prime Minister, who described New Zealand's economic recovery as, quote, aggressive, or Reserve Bank Governor Bollard, who described it in the FEC today as fragile?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the member will be well aware, the Prime Minister was describing the movement of the economy from the bottom of the recession, where there was aggressive recovery, and the Governor of the Reserve Bank is describing what's been happening at the moment, which is that growth is flatter because New Zealanders have reversed their appetite for debt built up under the previous government and are now saving at a very rapid rate. And as the member will know, who wants to encourage savings, if you save it, you can't spend it.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, has the Minister seen a report from the International Monetary Fund warning against Western governments withdrawing stimulus before 2011, and another report from the International Monetary Fund and the International Labour Organisation which concludes that growing inequality between the many low and middle income earners and the few high income earners, such as delivered in his tax package, could hold back recovery with a fall in disposable income leading to a fall in demand?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, what's affected low and middle income earners in New Zealand has been the legacy of bad economic management where they went massively into debt.
Order. The question asked whether the Minister of Finance was aware of a couple of reports. The Minister didn't even attempt to indicate to the House whether he was aware of these reports or not, and went straight into telling the House what he wanted to tell the House. This is question time. The general debate comes after question time. The Minister is perfectly at liberty in the general debate to say what he wants, but in question time he'll answer the question.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, it's been the habit in this House and a precedent established by previous speakers that if several questions are asked, then the answerer gets the choice of which questions they answer. And the member also raised the issue of the impact of recession on low and middle income New Zealanders, and I chose to answer that question.
Well, no, we don't need to take further time on that. I accept the point that the Minister has made, and it's not totally unreasonable, and therefore I think the Minister's point is not unreasonable. However, having said, I think the Minister, it wouldn't have been difficult to indicate whether or not he'd seen the reports and then gone on to make the point he wanted to make. I invite the Minister to continue.
Well, Mr Speaker, I have seen those reports, and I'd have to say the government's policy fits pretty neatly with them. This year, in the fiscal year 10-11, the government is running a $13 billion deficit. No government before has offered as much support to the economy. That is $13 billion we're borrowing and pumping into the economy for infrastructure investment and public services. So our fiscal stimulus policy is working very well.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table a covering report from the International Monetary Fund entitled IMF Fears Social Explosion from World Jobs Crisis, dated 13 September 2010.
Table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable David Cunliffe, point of order.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table the opening address by the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund to the 2010 annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the World Bank, where he warns against withdrawal of fiscal stimulus before 2011.
The leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Amy Adams, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister, what are the implications of the global economy on the government's strategy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the implications of uncertainty in the global economy is that the government should stick to its longer-term plan to lift the productivity and the strength of this economy. In particular, we need to focus on the public sector. There are severe pressures on public sectors around the world, and we'll see evidence of that in the UK in the next couple of days. The government has borrowed $13 billion this year to help maintain public services. It makes the stance of groups such as the secondary teachers a bit difficult to understand. This is a group that has enjoyed 3 previous years of 4% wage increases, 4% in each of the last 3 years with high job security, and it's hard to believe that they don't understand something has changed since their deal 3 years ago. That is a global financial crisis, a significant recession in New Zealand and very large budget deficits. But something has changed and the government has no more money for the secondary teachers.
Question number 3, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr Speaker,